Okay, so first of all, I have to address the elephant in the room. Taxes are legally enforceable. That's without argument. If you try to avoid paying taxes, the government will fine you. After the fines come like financial ruin, basically, because there's going to be extreme interest on them. And if you don't pay the interest and you don't pay the fines, then comes the jail time. You can look to Wesley Snipes, and there are countless others who have been penalized severely for not paying taxes. And in the end, they still had to pay the money. Now, another equally disturbing fact is that a lot of people out there, especially on social media, think that this sovereign citizen movement is the answer. It is not. Let me be 100% clear that it is a scam. You cannot give me solid evidence that has not been misinterpreted, that it is like legal. Every single person, every single case that I have researched about the sovereign citizen movement has ended in a felony and jail time and excessive fines. This is a scam. Sovereign citizenship is not a real thing. The only thing that you can do to avoid citizen taxes is maybe give up your U.S. citizenship. And even at that point, it's not even 100% guaranteed that you will not owe taxes to the U.S. government as somebody who is naturalized here. Now, we can talk about the police and the misallocation of funds because, every president, every local governor, every, mayor, they have signed on for additional resources for police departments, whether it's the 1033 program, whether it's Biden, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Every single politician who has been in office has given additional resources to the police departments. So we can't say that the police don't have enough resources because they're constantly granted more resources. The thing is that they are not prioritizing serving the people as public servants are supposed to, because at the end of the day, there is once again no legal obligation to do so. Their obligation is protecting property and profits. Their obligation is not protecting the people who literally pay their salaries, who literally pay their misconduct lawsuits, who literally pay for their equipment to do their job. That is not their priority. They have no legal obligation to do so. A lot of you are wondering, how did this happen? Well, there was this legislation called Citizens United, and it was passed. And when that happened, these corporations were allowed to dump millions and millions of dollars into our political system. And what that did was grant them excessive lobbying power and really more access to our elected representatives than we have as normal American citizens who make 60, 70, $80,000 a year. Basically they have more access and they have more power to sway our elected representatives. So if we're not doing our due diligence on the donations that our politicians are accepting, or the history of their political affiliation and things like that, then we vote them in there based on sound bites that they give during their campaigns, and then when they get in there, they cater to the people who gave them the most money, and they protect the profits of the individuals who paid them. So we are in effect legally taxed for a system that does not provide for us. So, like, if we go back to the Declaration of Independence, and I realize it was written in 1776, far before the Declaration of Independence was even thought about. I mean, excuse me, far before the Emancipation of Proclamation was ever even thought about, which means black people were considered, lesser than citizens. We were enslaved. However, what it does do is establish what the original vision for this government was, which was an actual democracy that prioritized the needs of the people over the profits of corporations. So the issue isn't about more resources for police. What the issue is a government that prioritizes the profits of corporations versus the actual citizens that created it. So I guess the question isn't even why are we funding it, because we have no choice. The question is, how do we change this? We can demand changes from our Congress, because Congress is really the one who has the ability to enact these laws. Number one, the law that forces us to pay taxes, but also the laws that force the police to change their prioritization. So, maybe we email our elected representatives, maybe we stage protests. But, our hands are kind of tied, because another thing that people don't realize is that the U.S. government has legislated themselves out of being held accountable. You can't even sue the government without their permission. And, if you're watching this video and you feel some type of way about me making critiques about the U.S. government, listen, my ancestors were kidnapped from various countries and brought here. I've been here for generations. I was born here. I'm a U.S. citizen. It's literally my job. It is my civic duty to pay attention to what's happening in this country, to critique it, and to be invested in changing it and making it better for future generations. So instead of being mad at me for having educated arguments and trying to incite, discourse about this, maybe join in on productive conversation so we can figure this out.